About one, the answer two, how it's scored, because this is going to be, this one is your guaranteed one, right? Obviously, there will be some sort of circular object, and then you got to answer these questions. You will fill out your coordinate points, and then you will fill out the A, the B, the C, the D, and answer the questions based on it. This is your guaranteed one. So if you could focus on one FRQ, this would be the one, because it's guaranteed, okay? So first of all, most of you got, like, understood that it was tricky in which it gave the period, because it said the number of rotations every second, not how long it took to do a rotation. It will give you one way or the other. It's not always that way. So it literally said it took 5 rotations every second, which means 1/5 of a second is how long it took to get all the way around. So they did these in terms of decimals, but if you put 1/5, it's also fine. So the start on your X was 0, and the end was 1/5 or 0.2. Then the halfway point or halfway between there, I would have done 1/5 times a half, so you're at 1/10. A quarter the way in, 1/5 times a fourth is 1/20. 3/4 the way in, or the difference between the 1/5 and the, or the 1/10 and the 1/5 is 3/20. So that's all your X values. And if you got all the X values right, you get 1 point. If you get one X value wrong, you lost the whole point. So you got to be really careful. Then a second point comes from your Y. So the top, it said that the center of the fan was 20 inches above the level table. That represents your midline, which is D. And then your, actually, well, it depends on if, no, that's right. And then it said that the point B is 6 inches from the center of the fan. So we went up, that's 26, that's your max. And down 26, 14, that would be your min. So the max was 26, the min was 14. 26, 14, and then halfway between them was your 20. And again, 1 point for all the Y values. Then based on that, I should have copied this. You had to answer your A, your B, your C, and your D. It said sine this time. So if I needed that shape to take form, if you go, I just want to paste the picture in. Okay, so this is your picture. Now remember, these are the ones that can have more than one answer. If it just said sinusoidal, you could pick sine or cosine. I'm pretty sure it's going to distinguish which one because it makes it easier for a grader. It will either give you sine or cosine, but be prepared for either one. This time, if it was cosine, it would have been easier. I could literally start at the top and work my way down. Because it said sine, there are multiple ways to do it. I could make my sine curve from there to there. It would be a negative A, right? Because it's got a reflection. It would be a shift to the right 1/20. So my C would have been negative 1/20. And my A would have been negative 6. So those two things could have changed. The way that they have it here, they went with a B of, or no, the C was 0.5, so they went backwards. They went here, okay? Which is also totally acceptable. If you went backwards 1/20, that was your C. It should have been a positive because we went backwards. And then that time your A is positive because it's your normal sine curve. So the B and D were the same for both, 10 pi and 20. But the other two could have been changed. And for that, you get a point for A and D, and you get a point for B and C. So they both have to be right in order to get the point. But that one also gives you the 2 points. All right, then it said refer to the graph in part H. This is the part that you don't really even need to understand your coordinate points. As long as you know if they'd be positive or negative, you can answer this question. If it says from K to P, so K to P is here, what's true about those values? Well, first of all, they're increasing. So I can eliminate both the decreasing ones. And then if you look at your Y values, they are positive because we're going from 20 to 26. So positive and increasing is A. And that is worth 2 points, obviously all or nothing. And then the one underneath it says describe how the rate of change is changing. So you're talking about concavity here. is your rate of change increasing or decreasing? Because that little section of your curve is on the U or the N shape, my rate of change is decreasing because the graph is concave down. So you need to include that. It doesn't have to be in that order. It could say the rate of change is decreasing because the graph is concave down, or it could say because the graph is concave down, the rate of change is decreasing. Questions?
Wait, it was positive decreasing.
It's positive and increasing. Your Y values are getting higher, right? You're going from 20 to 26.
No, I'm talking about part 2C.
It's concave down, so rate of change is decreasing. That's what you need to say.
You don't have to say that it's positive.
Nope, because it's asking how the rate of change is changing.
Okay, because I wrote positive.
Nope, it wants to know how it's changing, which means rate of changes can only be increasing or decreasing. It's asking how it's changing. Does that make sense? Not what it is.
Would I get it wrong?
Yeah. If you don't have concave down because it's decreasing, you'll get it wrong. If you have that plus other things, I think they'll ignore the other things and they'll make sure that those two things are there.
I wrote here on C1 and C2 the rate of change is positive and decreasing. They would have just
Decreasing, maybe you get that, but you didn't have concave down, so you won't get it. You have to have both. Yeah. We'll practice this. This is the one we will practice the most because it's guaranteed. We will come back to this one again.
So I just write down
Concavity, and what does that mean? So the rate of change is increasing or decreasing because it's concave up or concave down. Those two things have to be said. Yep. All right, then came the sine and cosine stuff. So with I, it said rewrite it as a single natural log. So you're condensing. There was a lot of different ways here. Okay, it said like this could have been an answer. You could have gone a step further and left it as this. I think the square root would also count. Wait, but it said, yeah, no, it just said single log, right? In the form of ln, single natural log. So as long as you got it to there, if you did ln of x to the third over the square root of x, because it didn't say, I would just say you make sure you read instructions. If it says you can't have fractional exponents, then you have to write it with the radical. If it doesn't say that, which it didn't, you can also write it with that way. So both of those would have been fine. Or this one too. Okay, that's the same as this. These are both the same. The part II said rewrite it in which cosine appears once and no other trig functions were involved. Sine squared x minus 1 is negative cosine. That's on the bottom. Negative cosine squared x. And then you can reduce it. This one only had one answer, and it was this. If you don't have the restriction, you're not going to lose the point. You have to just have that. Then came solving, and I would say most of you did pretty good on the I part. Solving where it's set equal to 0 on the interval of 0 to pi over 2. So we set this equal to 0. That's this work here. Factor out a cosine, split and solve it. You're looking for where cosine equals 0 or 2 sine minus 1 equals 0. So cosine equals 0 or sine equals a half, but only from 0 to pi over 2. And both had brackets, which is important, obviously, because pi over 2 this time was an answer. So cosine is 0 at pi over 2, and sine is 1/2 at pi over 6. You needed both of them. The hardest one was the next one. It said solve k of x equals 3e. So you would have said k of x, which is 8e to the 3x, minus e equals 3e. And then I would add the e to the other side, and I'd get 8e to the 3x equals 4e. I would have divided both sides by 4. And 2e to the 3x equals e. And then in order to get to that exponent, we have to ln both sides of the equation. Ln of 2e to the 3x would equal 1 because ln of e cancels to give you the exponent. And then in order to get the 2 off the e, you have to expand that. So ln of 2 plus ln of e to the 3x equals 1. Ln of e to the 3x becomes ln of 2 plus 3x equals 1. Subtract the ln of 2. 3x equals 1 minus ln of 2, and then divide both sides by 3. So you could have left it just like that, 1 minus ln of 2 over 3. Some of you, I feel like somebody had like a half somewhere, like instead of dividing by 4, they divided by 8. It doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. So you could have done it a little bit differently, but the ultimate answer that they gave, that only one was that. And then the last one, find all the input values on the domain of M that yield an output of 9/2. So it said, I said it equal to the 9/2. So this, oh wait, yeah, we did this one, right? Yeah. Cosine of 2x plus 4 would equal 9/2. Cosine of 2x would equal, subtract 8/2 here, so 1/2. And here's your multiple angle ones. So cosine is a half at pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3 plus 2n pi plus 2n pi, but 2x equals that. So then we had to divide everything by 2. And x equals pi over 6 plus, that these cancel, n pi, and divide everything by 2 here, 5 pi over 6 plus n pi. So that is how they will pull back in your identities on this FRQ at the beginning, and this is how you'll see a double angle come back or a multiple angle come back, that kind of stuff. It's never just one topic. They'll pull in your logs. They'll pull in an inverse trig function, which we'll review again in a little bit. How do we do overall? So the first one is worth 6 points, and the second one is worth 6 points. You can see the breakdown. It's 1 point for that x, the pi over 2, and the pi over 6. It was 1 point for your 1 minus ln of 2 over 3. It's 1 point for the angle here, and then it's 1 point. So you got 2 points here if you got all the way to the bottom. If you stopped at the double angle, so if you stopped at pi over 3 plus 2n pi, you got a point there. So you could have gotten one of those two, even if you didn't finish it. Questions? Yeah, Rolina. What? There's 2 FRQs, each of them, well, 2 FRQ sections, 4 total FRQs. So this made up half of your FRQs. Yeah, 2 cal, 2 non-cal. 6 points each. Yeah, and then you have a multiple choice calculator, that's 28 questions, and a multiple choice non-calculator, that's 12. But yes, you take it all in one day. Oh yeah, they're not gonna mess with K or N. Yeah.
They don't.
The constant, as long as it's the constant, it doesn't matter.
So they don't care if we add it or we do.
No, you have to add it, but she's saying, can you put a K instead of an N? And the answer is yes.
A T, right?
No, well, that's not. We use K and N. Yeah. T could get confused with like a parametric, I would think. Okay, so now let's talk about your video quiz. So you're gonna go to Canvas. We're gonna actually. Right, so you're up 30 minutes. If you can't do this in 30 minutes, I don't know what to do with you. It's one question. Wait, I'm gonna walk through it. Wait, pause. So I clicked on start. Shh. I clicked on start quiz. Ladies, shh. Now I'm in the actual quiz. Obviously your question's going to be different after today, okay? And there's a bank of questions, so you're not all getting the same question. But the directions are the same. It says complete the following on a video explaining your steps. I have to hear and see your steps. Do not skip steps. That's how you're going to lose credit. And do not, obviously, choose to not explain it. You'll lose a lot of credit. You're going to complete the squares. And then it says if the conic is a parabola, if the conic is an ellipse, if the conic is a hyperbola, okay? Which means it didn't do circles. So you're going to take this and you're going to put it in to complete the square. If this was my video quiz, I would have screenshot that question. I would have brought it into Notability or whatever you want to use to record. And I would have it in the top right-hand corner of it. I'm going to just do it over here so that we can see it. And my process would be this. I have to group together the x squareds and the x's and the y squareds and the y's. So 16x squared minus 32x is going to go together plus 9y squared plus 72y, leave my space, equals, I'm bumping the 16 to the other side. Then anything that is in front of a squared term has to get factored out. So I'm going to take out my 16, and I'm going to get x squared minus 2x, leave my space. Plus, I'm going to take out the 9, y squared plus 8y, leave the space, equals negative 16. have to record yourself and explaining it. Then I would take the b's on both of these, which is the second term. I'm ignoring the sign because I'm going to square it. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. I add the 1 inside the parentheses, and I would add it to the other side of the equation to balance it out. But I got to multiply it by the 16 first. Good. So I'm adding 16. Then I'm going to repeat that for the y. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Add the 16, and I would be adding the 16, but I have to multiply by 9 first. So I'm adding, and I don't care if you use a calculator to check your answers, because the point is the process, okay? Now I've got on the left-hand side, I have perfect squared trinomials, so I'm going to factor them. 16 stays on the front. Square root the first term, square root the last term, take the sign from the middle, put it in parentheses and square it. 9 stays on the front, square root the first term, square root the last term, take the sign from the middle, put it in parentheses and square it. Equals 16 and 16, negative 16 cancel out, 144. And then I have to put it into standard form, so it has to equal 1. I divide everything by 144. And I get x minus 1 squared over 9 plus y plus 4 squared over 16 equals 1. What kind of conic is this? Ellipse, right? There's a plus in between them. So I know this is an ellipse. If there's an ellipse, the instructions were center, vertices, co-vertices, foci. I know that the bigger denominator is under the y, so this is a vertical ellipse. A squared is 16, A is 4. B squared is 9, B is 3. Center is the opposite of what follows x and the opposite of what follows y. If you want to bring in a coordinate plane so you can graph it neatly, go for it. I would graph 1, negative 4 as my center.
When you're filming the video, do you have to write down everything, like, or do you say, like, do you have to write down the first equation, or you can be like?
If you have the picture of the equation, it's fine.
Okay.
But because your equation changes, it's easiest for me to see it in the corner. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go up 4 and down 4 because my ellipse is vertical. I'm going to go right 3 and left 3. And I'm going to draw my ellipse, which obviously is not drawn to scale, but you get the point. Okay. Then my C squared equals A squared minus B squared in an ellipse. So my C is what I need to find. A squared is 16, B squared is 9, C squared equals 7, and C would equal the square root of 7. My foci lies also on the vertical because, again, this is a vertical. Yeah. And it would be 1. Hang on. Let me finish. C, I'm changing the y. So 1, negative 4 plus and minus square root 7. And that's my foci. Okay. So on the quiz it says, I didn't do it on the practice, but on the quiz it says center, vertices, co-vertices, foci for an ellipse, okay? So these are, I have to also, like I graphed your vertices, but you also need to identify them. So vertices were we went up 4, right? At 0, nope, at 1, 0. Thank you. And my co-vertices, negative 2, negative 4, and positive, go to the right 3, 4, negative 4. So all of that has to be included.